Hey, what's up, everyone? This is going to be the syllabus video for AGRN 3020 for the lab section. I'm just going to kind of share my screen and go over the syllabus. I'm going to explain a few things about what we're going to do for the lab portion. So just remember the lab is inside of the course. It does not count as a separate credit hour, but it does count towards the overall course grade. Share my screen here real quick. Okay, so it says we're going to meet in Oakley 104. Some of them we might meet in Oakley 104 if we're just kind of doing some math and whatnot. But I know in the beginning of the semester, we're going to need to get some seed planted and some pots planted, and we're going to kind of get going with the crops so that we can watch them grow. Previously, when I taught this course, it was my first time for Mississippi, and I was like, we can just plant March. And it didn't get warm until after we graduated. So I want to start the planting early so that we can actually get some hands on and actually see a corn, cotton, soybean, and cover crop plants, like actually do that. So in the beginning of the semester, I think like the first 2 or 3 labs, we're actually going to be out at the greenhouse, okay, with working with Dr. Pierce, and everyone's kind of comfortable and familiar with that. You know, again, what I want to do here is I want to actually do the hands-on application of everything from basically from seeding to fertilizing. We're going to do the watering. We're going to apply some herbicides. We're going to try and apply some pesticides. And I guess the overall goal that I want, like the 2 biggest things that I want to come out of this lab are, well, I guess 3. A, that you did everything, right? You actually got to plant the seed, watch it grow, count the growth stages and see those in real time. I want you to be able to get your pesticide applicator's license. Y'all know that I always talk about that. I want to get you as many bullet points as I can on that, on your resume. And so somewhere near the end of the semester, we're going to try to get a pesticide applicator person to come out, administer that test, and hopefully that by the end, we'll be able to, everyone can get their certified pesticide applicator's license. So that's going to be a big thing. And then, you know, the final project is going to be putting together a crop production budget. And that's everything from, okay, how many seed do I need? How much does it cost for the seed? How much does it cost for the fertilizer? How much fertilizer do I need? What are the herbicides? How much herbicide? What does it cost? How does all this go into play? And so in a moment, we'll see all the different little steps that we have, but they're all going to sort of build up to you being able to complete that assignment, right? Each little lab that we do is a component of that final project. And so just going to break that down into small chunks. I'm going to maybe do some calibrating a planter and a spreader and even some spray nozzles. And so, as I mentioned in the lecture, this is Agronomy 101, and so I have some agronomy students in here. This is their course. You know, kind of the rest of y'all are along for the ride, and I don't want to make that ride miserable. And then also that I want to make sure that if someone asks you in an interview, have you ever calibrated a spreader? You can say yes. Do you know how to work Excel? Yes. Instead of maybe being in an interview and going, maybe. Because your interviewers will be able to see that. So I just want to make sure that you're confident and that you've done a few of these things and have experience. All right, so I've got this broken down into 2 sections. This ends on, you know, the last one that we'll do is going to be March 4th, and that next week is spring break. So the first portion of the semester, we'll be kind of doing all the planting and the soils and the fertility and getting that plant growing. And when we come back over spring break, we'll have another week's worth of growth and we can monitor that over time, okay? So the first half is just gonna be basically like pre-plant and early growth stage. And then the second half of the lab is gonna be more like the insecticides, the calibrating. We'll do some in-season plant and soil sampling. And that is going to be where I'm going to kind of draw some information for you to do that final project. And then down here, you know, we'll assign that project and discuss it and have a bunch of questions kind of go over. what is it I am and am not supposed to do and how to do that. If I've done my job well enough, by the time you get there, you'll go, oh, all I have to do is just everything I've already done. Somewhere in that, that last portion of April, remember, we're going to have to be really flexible in there because, the pesticide applicator person might come on the 15th. They might come on the 22nd. I doubt they would come earlier, but for the lab portion, we just want to remain flexible. Just because, man, we just don't know when things are going to happen. Like the more I plan, the more the plan breaks. So I've got an outline and an idea of what we're going to go over. Just understand that it's flexible enough that like it could change. But for the most part, what's going to happen. So like, let's take for instance, January 22nd, we're going to come to lab. We're going to go over seed. We're going to start the germination. And then you will have a plant population assignment due at the beginning of the next lab. So you're going to get a topic on lab 1. Lab's 1 assignment quiz calculation is due by the next Monday and not a minute more. If you turn your lab assignment in at 2:31, it is late and it is a 0. You'll know how to roll with that. Man, these are not hard lab assignments. They're designed to help you be comfortable to complete that final project. You just walk through them. And so then at the end of, portion 1, there's like 160 points total. And then at the end of portion 2, there's 290 points total. These 450 points go into the lecture grade. Okay, so they're not like soils and they're not like lab science, plant science, where you get a separate grade. They're the same. So the lecture makes up half and the lab makes up half. So that's where those points will be. For this pesticide applicators test, like I'm not sure what the, I'm not sure if it's out of 100 points. But if you, okay, let's say you need a 75 to pass. Well then, or there's 75 points total and you need so many of them to pass. Like your grade is going to get adjusted based on how many points there are. So we'll just adjust those grades from the pesticide applicators test. So if you get a 75 out of 75, obviously you get 100, right? If you get a 35 out of 75 or a 37, you get a 50. So that's how that's going to go. What else? Man, we're going to rely heavily on math and Excel. Like we are trying to push this Excel thing and to teach you how to not have to sit there and calculate, like just have to do a bunch of calculations on math. I know y'all might be used to it on your phone, but once you see it happen in Excel, you're like, oh my God, that is so much better. Excel makes your life so much easier. I use it for just about everything from designing activities to calculating values to planning to bookkeeping. There's just so much that you can do with it. And so, as I mentioned, that at the end, we're going to have that crop production budget. And what that's basically going to look like is I'm going to give you some information and you're going to calculate the cost of all the materials that you need. And that is your input. I'm going to give you a yield of the crop that I give you. Let's say for corn, it's 236 bushels. And then I'll tell you that you're making $5.17 a bushel on that. So you'll multiply that together, find out how much you get paid by the elevator, and then subtract out the inputs. Like it's a very simple step-by-step sort of, these are my inputs, these are my bills, and then I finally get a payday, and how much money did I make per acre? Those lab points are just going to be added to the overall cumulative total inside the course. And you can see inside of the grade book in 3020 that I have a lab portion and there's section 1 and section 2. Now you will submit all of your assignments into Lab 101, right? So I need to keep those separate because I don't want to have a grade book this big inside of the lecture because then 2 points. So you will submit all of your activities and quizzes. They'll typically be like a soils quiz and then add in some calculations to get you comfortable with that, okay? If that kind of helps you understand what those quizzes or assignments that are due by the beginning of the next lab period are. Because you're going to get some information, and then we're going to go do it, and then you're going to need to complete the assignment afterwards that demonstrates your ability and knowledge based on the subject that was taught. Man, attendance policy is none. I mean, you're grown, but man, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend missing the labs. Like, you paid the money for it, you might as well be there. But I mean, if life happens and you need something going on, like, you can catch up from someone else. Someone else should be able to walk you through that. Again, no late assignments. Like, it's a zero. If you don't get it turned in on time in the real world, it's late. And then that's that. And if you get it turned in late too many times, then you're fired. All right. So that pretty much takes care of everything for the lab portion. I'm going to be making a lot of tutorial videos for this because I feel like you're going in the future, there's going to be a more online video presence as far as delivering of information. And for me, everything that I need to learn is on YouTube. I really don't need to sit in a course for anything. I can just go watch a bunch of YouTube videos and get the basic gist of it. So I feel like this is something that's coming. I mean, if you have the ability to do that and be able to learn how to learn, you're going to be successful. So, man, I look forward to this. I'm super excited for this. Nervous a little bit because I've never really done activities like this, but I feel like it's going to give a very good demonstration of what happens in like an agronomy position, like what all you're responsible for. All right, so let's just grind. The semester is going to be over before you know it. March is only a couple of weeks, and February is the biggest one, and then we're done in April. It's going to go fast. All right. Well, I'll see you in class before I see you in lab.